Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Rachel Simpson, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. Today in America is a holiday known as Thanksgiving, and it's one where frequently we're reminded, I'm supposed to give thanks, right? That's something I'm supposed to do today. And so it's an opportunity to speak about gratitude, but it's also an opportunity to step into practices that can serve us beyond just this day. If you're like me, this year is a little bit of a different Thanksgiving. Normally in my family, we'd be meeting together in person, enjoying each other's company, having food and laughs together. And this year, that won't be happening. Because of the coronavirus, we're all staying in place and we're meeting online, which is going to be different. So, in light that this may be an especially challenging Thanksgiving for some, I want to invite you to try on something new. So this is a practice you may have heard of before. I know it was one that I had heard of many times and had resisted also for many years. And it's a practice of keeping a gratitude journal. And what is a gratitude journal? It's essentially a journal where you write down things that you're grateful for in. When I started this journal, I was at a point that my life felt especially difficult. My week felt especially difficult. In my life, I'm a physician by training. And right now I'm a resident physician, which in the US means that I've completed my medical doctorate, my degree, but there's this space and time before I am fully licensed to practice independently, where I'm working essentially in an old school apprenticeship. I have people who are above me that are supervising my work, and we're working together in a team structure generally. And while oftentimes that's absolutely phenomenal for training, it also provides many opportunities for learning and growth and occasionally falling on one's face. So I was having a week about a year and a half ago where I felt like it was especially challenging. It was a week where I felt that everything I did was not good enough, where I had this brewing sense of failure inside of me. And it was also a week that was emotionally very challenging because we had a lot of tragedy in the people we were taking care of. And we had several people who were dying. And so I was coming to the end of this week and I noticed a cynicism in myself. I was coming home and I felt hard. I felt cynical. I felt a little dead inside. And for me, whenever cynicism shows up in me, it's kind of like a giant red flag that's waving in my subconscious, telling me, hey, pay attention. Usually it means that I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not being aware of my own emotions. And for me, it's not a place that I want to live. It's not a place that lets me be there for the people that I care for. And it's not a place that lets me show up the way that I want to show up in the world. So I was aware of that cynicism and I knew I needed to shift something. And it was in that moment that the idea of a gratitude practice kind of came across my path in this gratitude journal. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I might as well. It probably won't make this week worse. That was about as far as I'd gotten in that moment. So I found a journal. I've got it right here. It's my gratitude journal. I like it because it is portable. And I decided to start writing in it. And that first night, I remember when I sat down to write it down, it took something in me to be able to write what I was grateful for and to find something. So the first thing I wrote was, I am so grateful for the delicious lunch today. I remember it was a good lunch, but that was the first thing that I could come up with that I was grateful for. And from there, I went on to write, I'm grateful for the opportunity to evaluate cases and admit patients today. In that week, in medicine, sometimes as much as we love taking care of patients, there are times where the pager goes off and you go, oh, please don't let it be another admission. I just can't take one more thing today. Maybe you've had moments like that in your work. But it's something for me, I remember when I wrote this, it took something for me to shift that perception and say, it really is an opportunity. The next thing I wrote was, I am so grateful to be part of the care of families and their loved ones at the end of life. And that one was so important for me to remember in that moment, because as difficult as it can be to be with people and to be in these moments that are emotionally so challenging and so sad sometimes. There's something phenomenal and deeply rewarding about being able to be a compassionate presence with people at some of the most difficult times, especially the end of life. And the next thing I wrote, I am deeply grateful for the phenomenal mentorship of my senior resident, my attending, and our chief resident. And those are the layers of supervision above me that I was speaking about. And in writing that, it allowed me to shift how I was seeing the moment from a place of, I'm not doing anything right, to feeling like, wow, I'm really grateful that I have mentors in my life and people who are willing to help me become a better physician and teach and educate. And as I continued on looking at everything that I wrote that day, I see that I moved from kind of the superficial place of, I'm really grateful for lunch, to this deeper place of being grateful for my family, being grateful for mentors in my life, being grateful for the opportunities that I've had. And what I found was that by the time I was done writing this entry, I had moved from a place of that cynicism, that hard cynicism, to a place where I was tearful. My heart felt open and soft and tender. And I was so grateful. And as I lay down to sleep that night, I remembered something that I was taught once about gratitude, that gratitude, another way to think of it, is it's an attitude of grace. It's an attitude in which there's an allowing of that grace, that divine grace, to flow through. And in my experience, there's a humility that's present in those moments, and a graciousness, a space for forgiveness, a space for growth, and a space for deep appreciation. And because of how transformative I found this practice to be, it's something that has stayed with me and something that I come back to again and again, particularly when life is challenging. So on this Thanksgiving, which may be challenging, may not, I invite you to consider taking a moment and writing down what you're grateful for, especially if it's a difficult week. See what you find. Allow this gratitude practice to see what unfolds for you in journaling. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being who you are. I'm so grateful that you're in my life. Om JJ Sema. Pax Vobiscum. Namaste and Shalom.